So you've gotten fat. You're disappointed with the amount of belly fat, you're disappointed with the amount of body weight and fat in general that you've collected around your body. Don't worry, this is something a lot of people experience. And the first step to solving this is to understand that you're not alone and to stop beating yourself up. I'm going to walk you through 7 ways you can get rid of that belly fat. As long as you don't waste your time watching videos where they tell you to do complicated exercises and diets that end up in you just getting dejected 3 or 4 days into the journey when you realize it's too unsustainable. That's what we're going to focus on. Sustainability. So, the first step, and the most important one in order to lose belly fat around your body, is to realize that fat loss is a slow process and that it can only be achieved if you are in a caloric deficit. This means that you eat less calories than you burn off. This means that after you calculate your daily caloric intake, you figure out how much of it you need to maintain a steady weight, and then take 100 calories off from that daily. The best way to do this is to head over to any online calorie calculator and figure out what your TDEE is. This essentially gives you a rough estimate of the total daily calories your body burns without doing any form of exercise. Try to eat these many calories for 7 days religiously and watch your weight from day 1 to day 7. If you're losing weight, then great. Keep eating the same number of calories. If your weight is somewhat stagnant, then consume 100 calories less per day. And on the contrary, if you're gaining weight, take 200 calories off per day, and then measure yourself again for the next week. Step 2 is to use a calorie counter. The most popular one is MyFitnessPal. They have both a free website and an app that you can use essentially to log all the food that you consume in a day. This is really important. It can seem really tedious at first, but if you do it religiously for 2 weeks, this becomes almost second nature. Every single thing that you eat, whether it's a piece of fruit, some light snacks, even a salad, you want to log this onto MyFitnessPal. The more natural sources of food you use, the more accurate these tend to be. But it's absolutely important that for the first week, you log every single item of food that you eat in order to make sure that you're eating under your daily caloric intake. So, if on the TDEE website you calculated that you need to eat 2,000 calories every single day in order to maintain your weight, you want to make sure that your MyFitnessPal shows you that you're eating just a calorie under 2,000. I know this seems trivial, but even some small process like that could make a massive difference when compounded over a month. Have faith in the process. Download the app or go onto the website and starting today log every single item of food you eat. And then make sure that for the first week you stick to your caloric targets. Believe me, you will start seeing results. Step 3 is to consume enough protein. Now, the most important part of this process is to make sure that you eat in a caloric deficit. I know you'll read a ton of stuff online that says that carbs are bad for you, or that fat's bad for you, or trans fat's bad for you, or sugar's bad for you. And in some sense, they're all true. But the good news is that 95% of losing fat comes from being in a caloric deficit. If you're in a caloric deficit and you're eating Snicker bars all day, or you're eating ice cream all day, or you're eating pizza all day, it does not matter. What matters most is that you're in a caloric deficit. But it's easier to keep full, and it's easier to stick to a lower calorie diet if you eat more filling foods. and if you eat foods that keep your muscles nourished and that prevent your muscles from breaking down. And that's where protein comes in. The general rule of thumb is that you eat at least 2 kilograms of protein per kilogram of your body weight, or 1 gram of. The rule of thumb is that you eat at least 1 gram of protein for every pound of body weight, or about 2 grams of protein for every kilogram of body weight. Again, in the beginning, it's not important that you get super specific about how much protein you consume. Okay, so how do you know how much calories you're consuming and how much protein you're getting off these calories? MyFitnessPal, it's great to log them, but it's important to indicate on MyFitnessPal how much food you're having exactly. And this comes from using a food weighing scale. It's absolutely imperative that you get it. I know it seems like overkill, but spending 10 to 20 pounds or dollars on a food weighing scale in the long term is massively going to make a difference to your fat loss journey. Get a food weighing scale and be obsessive for the next 10 days to weigh every single thing you eat. Of course, if you're eating food items from packages, then you can just go by what the package says in terms of how much you're consuming. But I'd recommend you to weigh every single thing you eat. How much meat you're having, how much rice you're having, even to weigh how much sauce you pour into your meals. Measure out your coffee, as long as you're having milk, measure out the sugar you put into it, everything. Again, the excessiveness quickly becomes second nature by the end of the first week. And that precision is exactly what will make sure that your MyFitnessPal entries are accurate and that you do lose fat much more fast. What isn't measured can't be managed. It's an old saying, but it's true. The only way you can really assess if you're actually losing fat is having a numerical target. Now, don't obsess over the weighing scale, but using a weighing scale to weigh yourself every day or every 2 days ensures that you know you're overall losing weight. But you need to make sure that you don't get caught up in becoming upset if your weight plateaus or goes up every day or so. Our body weight tends to vary between 2 to 3 kilos on a daily basis, just based off the amount of water we drink, the kind of foods we eat, and even the amount of sleep and exercise we get. So, what's important is that you log your weight every single day, and at the end of a week, you hopefully see a downward trend. And you want to see something along the lines of losing half a kilo. If you've done really well, 1 kilo. But even something like 200 grams or 300 grams can make a massive difference in the period of a few months. So make sure that you weigh yourself every single day, and every 7 days, take a look at the last week and see if you've ended up at a slightly lower weight than you started the week with. By the end of the month, you'll have shedded kilos, and that'll get the momentum rolling to keep you on track to losing even more fat. Cardio. This is somewhat misunderstood by most people on their fat loss journey. No amount of exercise can out-train a bad diet. I keep repeating myself, but it's true. As long as you stick to a caloric deficit, you will lose fat. But there are 2 ways to achieve a caloric deficit. You can either eat a lower quantity than you burn, or you can burn a bit more than you eat. Now, it's actually more sustainable to eat slightly less than you burn, because people overestimate how many calories different forms of exercise burn. So without being overtly obsessive about the exercise element, begin by doing any kind of activity. A 20-minute walk, ideally every single day, just to get some fresh air, to get some vitamin D, and just clear your mind out, are helpful even without the benefits of losing weight. But a 20-minute walk could potentially help you lose another 100 calories. So, don't really consider it exercise as much as you consider it just a well-being activity and practice you do on a daily basis. A reminder to clear your head, de-stress, and as a bonus, you lose weight faster. Just make sure you do it every single day without fail. And finally, everyone, patience. Patience is the most important element of losing weight. We all want to see major transformations in 3 days, 7 days, 10 days, like most YouTube videos promise. What's important to realize is that losing weight is more of a psychological task than it is physical. Sure, you have to prevent yourself from eating more than you can or working out a bit, but ultimately, all it comes down to is consistency. Are you able to hold a light caloric deficit for a period of time that's long enough for your body to burn off that fat? Now, realistically, this means waiting to see a massive change in 3 months, not 3 days. Forget everything that the YouTube videos that promise you results in the short term tell you. Just make it your life's mission for the next 3 months to stick to something as simple as eating slightly less than your daily intake. Watch your fat burn. Give it 3 months. It's not really that long of a time. Think about what you were doing 3 months ago. It probably doesn't seem that long ago. But if you're able to keep consistently under-eating less than your TDE calories every single day for the next 3 months, I guarantee you will melt that fat away and you will be surprised by the results. And once you start seeing visible results, the motivation takes on and you'll get obsessed. It doesn't sound realistic, but believe in yourself. Take a photo of your body every 2 to 3 weeks and wait to see drastic changes between today and 3 months, and you will be surprised.